Try this again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Dallar's Twi'lek Tactics. It is the end of October, which means I got to update my tier lists. So in this video, we're going to be going over the best heroes in the game as of the end of October 2023. Now, this video segment tends to run long, so hang in with me. Hang in there. We go through I try to touch base on every hero that is on this list. I am going to hide my head in case anyone just wants to screenshot this for their own use. If you don't want to, actually 3, 2, 1. If you don't want to screenshot it, this tier list is always available in my master spreadsheet, which is linked down below. Now, I do it a little differently. I don't go like best hero in the game 1 through, you know, whatever, 80 or 90. I don't know how many characters in the game. Not that many, actually, in comparison to other mobile games. But I like to break them down by class because all of the content in this game revolves around class synergies. So we're going to start at the top. Let's go with the tank faction. Now, surprisingly enough, maybe not a surprise, but I still rank Pandemonium as the best tank in the game. That's not to say that standalone he is the best tank in the game. For that, it's probably going to be Womagon still, probably. But without Pandemonium, your tank team just doesn't do what your tank team does. Pandemonium provides the synergy that makes all of the other tanks do knockdowns when he ults, and in combination with Abek, the commander, that's going to make all of your tanks viable damage dealers. So because of that, Pandemonium is the #1 best tank in the tank class. But then we get into the 2 and 3, and Teresh and Womagon. It's really kind of a toss-up between them. I'd say Womagon is a much better damage dealer. But Teresh has so much survivability. Teresh brings the tank throw. Teresh buffs up HP. Those two, you could make an argument either way to make one #2 and one #3. But we'll just call them 2A and 2B as of now. Pandemonium still #1, and then Teresh and Womagon. These three tanks are really kind of all you need to get rolling on a really high-end tank team. Now, one of the first new hero on the tier list for October is Tachikoma. Originally, I had Tachikoma, and I had first said that she was just a better Zeta. She brought a lot to the tank team in the shields and the stun. She's kind of a ranged tank. She has a stun of the highest attack on the enemy side of the battlefield. Now, through the month, as I've seen more and more of her, I've actually come to quite like Tachikoma, and Tachikoma has definitely separated herself from Zeta. Putting Tachi on a tank team with these other three, Panda, Teresh, and Womagon, and then you throw in someone like Purin in there, makes a very scary tank team. Now, the old school tank team being Panda, Teresh, Womagon, and Zeta, with, say, like Rez, no longer counters the energy team. But if you just slide Zeta out and put in Tachikoma in there, all of a sudden the tank team is still a viable counter to energy based on what Tachi brings to the team. So Zeta, probably still one of the beefiest tanks in the game. That's all she is, though. She's just there to receive the synergy from Abek, the tank commander, and Pandemonium, and to basically do all of her damage through Panda's ult. So that's about all she brings. Survivability, and yeah, that's about it. So we can kind of just really talk about these first 5. Pandemonium, #1 for everything he brings to the tank team. Teresh and Womagon, really good tanks in their own right. Womagon and Teresh can be subbed out of this team into other teams, which makes them very highly valuable. Tachikoma is more of a support role for the tank. Standalone, not so great, but actually kind of cool on a tank team, and will displace Zeta on that tank team. Now we get into the rares, or elites, I should say, the elites. If you're a beginning player or a mid-game player, Vagnus is going to be your best option for an elite tank. He's going to have everything in his kit in the way of survivability and knockdown. But then after him, Oysa and Boar are also okay. You can use them into mid-game. Oak, you can kind of use him beginning game, but you're very going to quickly not use him. You're probably going to use these three until you start replacing them with your SSS. So really, these top 5 SSS, I think, are correctly placed for their importance and their viability in the tank class. Supports, okay, we have our second new entry into the tier list for October, and Purin Isaki. I don't know if she's just broken, but you can go look at my deep dive of her. She is probably one of, well, for supports, she's hands down the best support in the game. She has a lot of damage amplification, a lot of damage reduction pieces built into her kit. She's got energy reduction. She's got a continuous heal. She's got a massive energy boost common skill, kind of like Res. She's just got so much. She can be... Purin Isaki pretty much has a spot on almost any team and almost any content. As such, she immediately, undisputedly, I don't think that's a word. She immediately displaced Fiona and Miranda for that top spot on the support build. She is hands down one of the best heroes in the game. Now, after that, it's kind of a toss-up. You know, Fiona, Miranda. Fiona, really, really good for Vanguards and Assassins. Miranda, really, really good for Energy and Hunters. They've got synergies for those two classes built into their kits. Fiona with her shielding for Assassins and Vanguards. Miranda for her damage amplification functions. You could make an argument with these two, much like Teresh and Wamagon, to flip them in the position for the tier list. But I think Fiona has a little bit more viability in places like Guild Hunt, where you will use her in place on energy teams where you would probably want to use Miranda. But now with the introduction of Cariolis, maybe Miranda is better. I don't know. I'm gonna call Fiona for second and Miranda for third. You guys can tell me down in the comments below if you think I'm wrong. After that, you know, we got Masrani, who is still probably the best overall healer, just for straight up heal numbers. He is a week 4 character. He's a starter unit. Everyone should still probably get Masrani up to X30. Well, no, maybe not. Maybe not. X20 for sure. Every new player is going to get Masrani. He is still going to be very, very good. You're still going to use him in a lot of content. But, you know, when it comes to PvP, even PvE, once you get these top 3, you're going to use Masrani less and less. As such, Masrani's easily number 4 below these top 3. Res is great. Res is still great. Res doesn't do any healing, but what Res does, we know he does well. He will increase the ultimate energy of a hero by 100% and let them do their ultimates over and over and over again. You pair Res with people like Jaina, people like Dominic, people like Nord, to great effect in the game to keep a loop going of damage. As such, Res still really, really good at character, but he is a support, and as such, he's not going to do as much, definitely not going to do as much as Purin. Purin is basically a highly improved version of Res. Purin is basically all 3 of these, or all 4 of these, rolled into one. That's how good she is. Serena is going to carry you very, very much so in the beginning game, so new players, Serena is going to be your best friend. Bada, I could really slot Bada like way down here. By the time you get to Bada, she's already... Serena's going to be better than Bada. And then, yeah, no, Bada's just trash. She's somebody they brought into the game. They tried to buff her once. Pardon me while I cough. I'm still kind of getting over a lung infection. Bada has a really, really high single target heal, but that just doesn't cut it in any content. So for the support class, easily number 1, Purin, and then 2A, 2B, mix and match it how you see fit, Fiona, Miranda. Number 4, Masrani, Res, you know, bringing up the pack, kind of. Serena, still doing okay for an elite healer. Energy, okay, I really struggled to kind of place the top 3 energy units. Up until this month, I had Nord as number 1. And I could still switch Nord. I can make an argument that any of these 3 should be 1, 2, or 3. So Nord, if they release Nord next week, which would be the first week of November, if Nord becomes free-to-play friendly, if they release him to the wider population, you know, I could make an argument that Nord could still be number 1 on this list. Because Nord does have a lot of plug-and-play functionality outside of an energy team. He is still a really, really good character. He's got a lot of survivability in his kit, and he pumps out a lot of damage. Jaina as well. Jaina is a damage cannon, but she's a glass cannon. You can mix and match Jaina in a lot of teams and a lot of PvE content. People, you want to bring in Jaina to get the best score. Coriolis or Cariolis. Brand new to he's the 3rd new hero on this tier list. Really, really good. Cariolis is basically brought in to kill the tank counter on a lot of teams. Not only does he do obscene damage, but he stops the tank throw, which means you can plug and play him onto a hunter team. You can use him on a summoner team. You can use him in a lot of places for PvE purposes to counter tanks, but for PvE, he does an obscene amount of damage by himself, given that he has a lot of true damage built into his kit, and he can crit that true damage. Cariolis is like a much improved, he's like a lot like Luke, because he's got unlimited range, but he's kind of got a little bit of Jaina built into his kit too with how much damage he puts out. So for the top 1, 2, 3 spots of the energy tier or the energy class in this tier list, I could make an argument why each one of these could be number 1, number 2, or number 3. As such, I'm just going to have them really tightly grouped together. We're going to call it 1A, 1B, 1C for me. You guys tell me how they should be arranged. But I really, really like Cariolis for what he brings to the my entire account. I like Jaina. I think Nord might have a little bit more viability across other teams as a plug-and-play unit. So I kind of want to put Nord back at number 1. But I'm just going to leave it like that for now. We'll see in a week's time how this changes. But I'm going to say 1A, B, and C for now. After that, then it's easily a huge gap up until Luke and Ravenna. Now, Luke and Ravenna both kind of, they're AoE energy heroes. Luke has, he's kind of like a weaker version of Cariolis. He's got a lot of true damage into his kit. Luke, I'd say, is better for PvP. Ravenna, better in PvE situations. You know, given that Cariolis came into the game, I'm probably not going to use Luke anymore, but I could see a reason why I would maybe want to use Ravenna. Ravenna seems to do a lot better damage in PvE versus Luke, so I may flip these two. But they are definitely way down the line when it comes to all of the SSS. And after them, Falvia and Kane, still really good units for a new account. Like, if you are a new player coming to this game, Kane and Falvia will carry you. I was using them to clear X3 or X2 in Sincero Marsh for a long time before I got Luke and Ravenna up to a point on my free-to-play account where they could supplant Kane and Falvia. So these two, Kane, Falvia, still really, really good units for new players, but, you know, as all of these elites go, elites are just placeholders until you can get better, or until you can get SSS. Sorietta, really, really good early game. Like, beginning and early game. After that, you're never going to use Sorietta again, but I still got to put Sorietta on this list because of how much you're going to use her when you start out. Nautilus kind of falls into the same trap as Bada. By the time you're ever going to get a good enough Nautilus to use anywhere, you're going to have heroes that are going to just perform better. As such, I'm leaving Nautilus on this list because he is a SSS, but this is definitely where he should be in relation to all of the energy units. I could make an argument why you would use Omar before you would ever use Nautilus. I have never used Nautilus, even on my main account. Ever. By the time I got him up there, Luke and Ravenna can do better things. He's basically, Nautilus is a better version of Sorietta, but you're gonna, pardon me, you're gonna use Sorietta more, and then by the time, like I said, by the time you get a usable Nautilus, you can have some of these other ones. So the energy class, a little bit difficult to qualify right now. Like I said, these top 3, you tell me where you think they should be. I'm still kind of hit or miss if I want to put like Nord as number 1. You know, people like to poop on Nord now. Kind of like how, you know how Bailey was good, and then, oh, where is Bailey? Oh, there he is right there. Bailey was great, and then people kind of just like to dismiss him, and then they just write him off as poop. People are starting to write off Northeon as being trash, but no, he's nowhere near trash. Hunters, okay, the Hunters. All right. Let's start at the top. Rebecca is still the number 1 best hunter into the game. Rebecca and Rosaris are going to bring you all of the support for the rest of your hunter faction. Now, Rebecca is by far and away going to blow away the damage numbers of any of these other hunters. So, Rebecca still has the top spot in the hunter class. Ryzeris, just having Ryzeris on the team is going to bring a bunch of, I think, 200 attack speed to all of your other hunters. And hunters like Emma, Moriami, Prigor, Arcadia, Rebecca, specifically Ryzeris, Rebecca, and Arcadia, they all need attack speed in their kits to function at their highest level. As such, you really need these 3. And these are going to be your top 3 hunters in the game. Rebecca is going to, but far and away, going to outdamage all of them. Arcadia is going to do the next best damage. But, you know, you can maybe run, I'd say you need Ryzeris if you want to get the most out of your Arcadia. But you don't need Arcadia to get the most out of your Ryzeris. And that is why I have Ryzeris above Arcadia in this list. Now, Arcadia is just going to be like the cherry on top to your damage capabilities of your hunter team if you have her. And her kit's kind of cool. When you take her to X30, she's got that 3-way directional ultimate, and each wave that it hits will hit for 9 times. You know, she really synergizes well with the whole hunter team. But Rebecca, undisputably number 1. I'm still giving Rosaris number 2 solidly, and then Arcadia number 3, and I'm forcing back a cough. I'm not going to wait to put out this tier list for a week after I get done with this this infection. So sorry, guys, and just thanks for bearing with me. Emma, you know, Emma, she was really, really great when the game came out. Then she fell off as we moved into AoE hunters. But now, as we're kind of moving back into single-target, multi-damage dealing hunters, Emma still has a lot of use. You need her in the Katosian Triangle dungeon. So she definitely has some endgame viability. We may get a hunter in the future that will completely knock her off and she'll never be used again. It's a little bit more difficult for newer players to get a copy of Emma as well. I know they just put her in the recent iteration of Elite Chapter. She still can put out a decent amount of damage, though. So Emma's not bad, but she's definitely number 4 on this list. Now, Moriami and Prigor, before tanks, before Teresh came into the game, hunters were a really good PvP team with Moriami and Prigor. That team would have been Rebecca, Ryzeris, Moriami, Prigor, or just Rebecca, or just Ryzeris, Moriami, Prigor, Rebecca. Actually, Rebecca, I think these two. They were really, really good in PvP, and they had a moment to shine. And they can put out good damage. Moriami can put out really good damage numbers. And I'm going to cough again. Oh, it sucks. Moriami better than Prigor. They don't have to be put together. I still have Moriami on my Sincero Marsh speed team, clear team. That's these 4 hunters. Rebecca, Ryzeris, Arcadia, Moriami. Because they're AoE hunters and they put out a lot of damage. But I'd say Moriami and Emma kind of have the same viability, whereas Emma's a single target damage dealer, Moriami's an AoE damage dealer, but they can put out really good damage numbers. But I'd still give Emma the edge, just because she's going to be used in more spots nowadays than Moriami. Prigor, given that we have Ryzeris and Arcadia, Prigor doesn't have a whole lot of use. And I should say, touch on Moriami again, too. She used to be really, really, really exclusive. In order to get her shards, you had to compete, and you had to finish in the top 16 of Summit Arena to get a copy of her. Now, with being able to get her in Endless Battle, I do believe. Yeah, Endless Battle. She's a lot easier to get. And she is the better between these two sisters. Prygor, you can get her very, very easily. You get her with Nautilus and Anaruta from Twilight Lands rewards. You can use Prygor, but she's not gonna do. She's gonna be overshadowed by the top 5. Now Taylor and Bot Mark 2. Taylor, probably one of the most used heroes in this entire game, from beginning game to end game. Beginning game, he is going to be every new player, new account's MVP. He's going to be the far and away biggest damage dealer. He's going to be right up there with Daniel for a long time, and you're going to use him in tons of content in this game. I could make an argument why Taylor should be above Moriami, if I'm being honest. Still. In fact, I may do that. Just given how much he's used at beginning game. But if I was going to go to end game specifically, I would probably still put him in this spot. But both him and Bot Mark 2 are going to be really, really good units to use for a new account. Taylor does have some end game uses still. We were using him in Guild Hunt for a while. You can use him in the current iteration of the Hunter Endless Battle with Soaring Medallion. Taylor is definitely a good unit. Bot Marks are still a good unit, but I have to put them down here at the tail end, just given the fact that, you know, after mid-game, you're probably going to get these Hunters up top here, and then you're not going to use these two again. Azina, the only reason why Azina is on this list still is because she's a SSS. When the game first came out, she was the complementary lifter unit for Emma, and she basically, you know, made Emma do more damage. But you're never, if I'm being honest, you're never ever going to use Azina in the way that the game is built today. She's on this list specifically just because she is an energy unit, or an SSS. Anaruta, you know, I could put Anaruta on here, and I probably should put him back on here with this port, but I'd probably put him below or above Bada. In fact, let me do that right now. There you go. Look at that. He's back. Where'd he go? He was gone. Okay, but I'm not going to talk about Annie. He's on here specifically, again, just because he's a SSS. All of these SSS are all kind of garbage. You're never going to use them. Okay, let's shuffle my head up into that top left corner as we discuss the Vanguards. Okay, so Vanguards. Yes, Ares rules the roost. I recently got my Ares up to Immortal 5. And it's true, ladies and gentlemen. He is a one-man solo unit at Immortal 5. He's almost unkillable versus so many comps. Now, Vanguards in general aren't going to be used much pieces of content in this game. Thunder Cliffs, which was a dungeon built specifically for Vanguards, is you're going to use hunters, or not hunters, you're going to use assassins for it anyway, which is kind of funny. But for any piece of content that is specifically designed for Vanguards, be it nodes in Twilight Lands or their endless battle content, Ares is going to be, Ares and Barag are, you know, Barags can outdamage Ares still. I'd say in PvE, Barag will still do better numbers, but Ares' ability to solo comps in PvP gives him the top spot in the Vanguard division. He is really good in PvE on specific rage-based Vanguard content. But yeah, he is definitely number one, just given what he can do in PvP. Barag, really, really good unit once you get him to X30 in higher immortal levels. But I got another round in me. Damn it. I don't know. Yeah, they are where they are. Ares number 1, Barag number 2. And then we got the fourth new unit to come to this tier list. Batu. Batu is a rage-based Vanguard unit. I'm gonna cough again. Pardon me. Lung infection. Batu, he's okay. Basically, Batu is a better Leo. But he's a rage-based Leo. So we're going to actually move Leo down a little bit. Down like that. Leo, still really, really good for new accounts, but Batu probably better. And for anyone that started the game during the collab event, you're going to have a Batu. So you're probably going to use him before Leo, or you're going to use them together. But Batu can do more than Leo. Struggling. So Batu gets number 3 spot on this list. Leo, really, really good for new unit or for new accounts, but definitely number 4 now. First is the rage-based Vanguards. Now, Na Feng, Crete, and Artis. Kind of got to talk about these 3 together. Crete, he used to be the week 3 unit for new accounts. He is no longer the week 3 unit. Okay, I gotta get that freaking... There's like a fuzz or tickle in my throat that won't leave. Now, since Crete is not easily available for new players, I almost want to put him below Artis. Because a new account is going to use Artis a lot in the beginning of the game. You're going to probably use Artis with combination of Batu and or Leo, depending on which of these 2 Vanguards you've got. And then Na Feng is a lifter unit to all of them on a Vanguard team, and you can use Na Feng in PvP with Artis and, say, Leo or Batu. Until you get Ares and Barag. Whereas Crete used to be... When I first started playing the game, Crete was the best tank in the game, because tanks didn't actually tank. But since then, he's fallen off. All he is, basically, is a big old meat shield. Still one of the cooler looking units in the game, if I'm being honest. But, yeah, Na Feng buffs the attack of other Vanguards, or 2 other Vanguards. And I gotta put Na Feng above the other ones. And then Crete. And then Artis. In fact, I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna put Artis above him, just because you're gonna use Artis. Like, a new player is actually gonna use Artis, whereas you're not actually gonna use Crete anymore. Because you're not gonna have him. The only way you're gonna get Crete is through spending either your SSS selection cards that you get from hero rallies, or I think he's available in endless battles sometimes. Yeah, a new player has no reason to go for Crete anymore, which is really unfortunate. And then Guan Yu, besides being one of... Like, I just think his model is gorgeous. He just sucks. He's a DPS Vanguard that doesn't DPS. His whole kit is based around crits and bleed. But even when you build him correctly, so you would build him in like a Marauder set, kind of like Nord. He's still just... He just doesn't do it. He's Guan Pu, and he's still Guan Pu. The only reason why he is on this list is the same reason as Nautilus and Azina and Bada. It's because he's a triple S. There's no reason why a new account or an endgame player should go for Guan Yu. So, Guan Yu is at the end. But, yeah, Ares, number 1. Tell me if I'm wrong on Ares versus Barag, but Ares, number 1. And then I think this list is pretty well built. These top 4 are going to be your go-to in pretty much any Vanguard content. And the other ones, you're just going to use because you got them. Now, Assassins. Caraxia is currently the only SP unit in the game. As such, she is the best. I don't know if I want to call her the best unit in the game, but I kind of have to. She probably still is the best unit in the game, but people are starting to find counters to her. But if you have her, you will build her. She is the only X40 unit in the game. She is hands down the best assassin out of all of the assassins. So she has the number 1 spot. But we kind of have to disregard her given her exclusivity. Free-to-play accounts, if we're being honest, will never have an SP unit. The way the game is now. If they drastically loosen the purse strings on how to acquire Astral tickets, then maybe we can rehash the discussion. But as it stands right now, it will take free-to-play players years, not months, years, to get an SP unit. SP units are specifically for whales and krakens, so we kind of have to disregard her. After her, we got Dominic, Motoko, and Rickard. These are going to be the predominantly best 3 assassins for any account outside of the SP. Dominic, it's no question, hands down, the best assassin after Caraxia. Now, his damage numbers are going to be determined by how good your other assassins are, like say these 4. But he only gets better with age. The better these ones get, the more his damage numbers go up. Whereas, say, Rickard, who he will put sword souls on other assassins, and they will benefit from his attack. His damage will, in the end, always be based off of his max attack value. Whereas Dominic, his max damage output is going to scale with the other assassin's development, which is what makes Dominic so powerful and so potent of a unit. And Dominic can be used in a lot of different comps, given the fact that his damage is based on the ability of the other team to do crit damage. You know, lots of teams do crit damage. Hunters, energy, hunters and energy. So Dominic, undisputed number 2 after Caraxia. Motoko, huge damage output from Motoko. She is a great assassin. She is hands down number 3 or 2, depending on, you know, the Caraxia argument. And then after that, we got Rickard, who's still a really good assassin. But Motoko definitely stole his spot from him, right? But these 3 together are a potent force. And then after these 3, for PvP, you would want Talentus. For PvE, you would want Bailey. Now, Bailey is going to facilitate both Rickard and Dominic's damage numbers. Having Bailey will improve your numbers for Rickard and Bailey, or Rickard and Dominic. But standalone, Bailey, his numbers are what they are. They're kind of capped at this point. Motoko really is a much better version of Bailey Hudson. Halentis is a Hell Arena specific character, and she does really good things. She's almost an SP unit in Hell Arena. Outside Hell Arena, she's only used for PvP. So there's a huge drop off after Rickard. I'd give Halentis the edge over Bailey, but all these 5 units right here are still good regardless of how far they've fallen off. And remember, if you got these 3, you still want Bailey for PvE, and if you got these 3, you still want Halentis, which is why they're still kind of up here. But this list is pretty much undisputed, in my opinion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then after that, you got your 2 elites. You're almost never going to use Randall now. Early game. Very early game. You'll use Randall and Rakana. There is some instances at endgame where you will still use Rakana for bonus points in PvE content. And say if Rakana is boosted in Guild Hunt, you'll probably use Rakana. So you will still have niche moments where you'll use Rakana at endgame, whereas you're never going to use Randall at endgame. So Randall is hanging on to this list by the skin of his teeth, whereas Rakana, you know, second last. So that is the assassins in a nutshell. And then we get to summoners. So summoners, again, is kind of hard to qualify. I don't know which one of those terms would be more appropriate. But Sif, you know, Sif does insane damage numbers when she's in the summoner team. And having Sif on the team will drastically increase Ampu's damage output, given how much summons. Because her main summon, Gobo, is constantly summoning these Pebbles ads, which blow up and contribute to Ampu's damage. So the introduction of Sif gave the summoners this super boosted damage character, while also bringing up and amplifying Ampu's damage. So I give Sif the number 1 spot, because she also has an ability in her kit to negate invincibility, which allowed the summoner team to counter Caraxia assassin teams until Motoko came into the game. Now, if you have, say, these 4 assassins, or wait, no, these 3 and Talentus, the summoners can no longer counter that team. But for any other version of the assassin team, a Sif summoner team, these 5 summoners are going to be able to counter assassins quite well. But Sif, yeah, huge damage numbers. Gobo acts like a tank. Huge damage numbers in Guild Hunt. You need Sif for big Guild Hunt numbers. You need Sif on any summoner team. You can mix and match her outside of the summoner team a little bit, whereas you can't really do that with Ampu. So Sif gets the number 1 spot. Ampu gets the number 2 spot, which he moved up here last month because of his increased damage output and all of his CC capability. Without Ampu, there is no summoner PvP team. Without Ampu, there is really no summoner PvE team. You know, you could make an argument for not having Sif because we used that summoner team without Sif for so long. Whereas you can't make an argument for a summoner team without Ampu. You just can't do it. So Ampu gets the number 2 spot for those reasons. Doralee, Daniel, and Sorvali. Doralee was the much needed frontline tank unit for the summoner team. You know, Doralee is the reason why Muka got kicked down to the bottom of this tier list. Doralee also gets the number 3 spot because she ramps up the damage of summoners and summoned units. I do believe it's 40%. So she is a facilitator for not only the defense of the team. Doragon is an excellent tank. She also is kind of like a support unit as well because she drastically increases the attack capability of your summoner team. So she's the number 3 spot. Daniel was fantastic. Daniel was an absolutely fantastic summoner unit. But now that we have the whole team, and we see what the whole team is, he's number 4. He does boost attack of summoned units, but only by 15%. He does have some really good AoE CC capability in his kit, but if you put him in a summoner team, you're going to see that Ampu and Sif are completely outpacing Daniel in damage. They'll just leave him in the dust. But he does still have a place on that team. He does still do decent damage, and beginning players, Daniel's going to be one of your MVPs. A new account, new roster. And right now with the anniversary event, you're getting Doralee for free as your day 7 login reward, which is awesome. I would say that for a new player, Pandemonium or Doralee are going to be your picks from that SSS selector. But Daniel, number 4. And then Sorvali. Sorvali's the healer on the team. And Sorvali, I think, in most instances, is still necessary to complete the team. But she's definitely number 5. So you guys tell me what you think of this placement. But in my opinion, Sif still the number 1 spot, Ampu number 2, Doralee 3, Daniel 4, Sorvali number 5 on the summoner class, or in the summoner class. And then after that, Muka, I slide Muka all the way down to the bottom. Now keep in mind, maybe I should put him here because for new players, no, he's going to get some division. For new players, you're going to probably get some use out of Muka until you get these other ones. But Kalaza, Senway, a new account is definitely going to use them. Skur and Hattie was needed in the Guild Hunt team, but now Skur and Hattie, I could make an argument why Skur and Hattie will be after Senway and Kalaza, because Skur has been replaced by Purin on the Guild Hunt team. But a new player will use Kalaza and Senway and Muka. A new player probably will never use Skur and Hattie, just because there's going to be no way to get him or her. There's no way to get them. They're really a double unit. They're really not even a summoner unit, in my opinion, since if one dies, the other dies. So I may move Skur and Hattie down on this list. In fact, I probably should. So Muka, he brings up the rear just because he's kind of like the tank unit, which gets replaced by Sif and Doralee in a sense, mostly Doralee. And an endgame account is never going to use Muka. Alright, I got to wrap this up before I die. I think I'm getting worse as I talk. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the tier list for October 2023. I could almost call this October, November. Now, I'm going to slide this over a little bit because these are units that are missing from this list for obvious reasons. There we go. Now, these ones up top here. Trash food. You're never ever going to use these, not even for a new player. You can use them as food to level up your other elites in the early game. Can they be used? Yes. Should they be used? No. And then these ones down here, you might be able to get some use out of them, but only at beginning game. Yeah, all of these can be, you can use other heroes in their spots for much greater effect. But yeah, these ones up top here, definitely trash or food. So that's why they're not on this list, in case you were wondering, hey, where's Hypnos? Where's Queet? Right? Where's Paluno? They are not on this list because this list is getting a little too cluttered, and I'm going to continue to prune it and to move people off this list as we get more heroes. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to just hide my head one more time in case anyone wants to take a screenshot, because we did kind of move a couple things. 3, 2, 1. I apologize for still being sick. The coughing is definitely not a good thing to have on a video recording for YouTube, but October is almost over, and I had to get this thing recorded, so thank you for bearing with me. The word of the day, the safe word of the day, is going to be plague, because I have the plague. So put plague down in the comment section below. That'll let me know that you suffered through 42 minutes of me rambling, and I will thank you profusely. Till next time, ladies and gentlemen, cheers, peace. Thank you for coming. Bye-bye.